Self-help is honestly a lie, but to be honest, it has helped me quite a bit in my life. It's got me to where I am, it's taught me a lot of things, and sure, it has a lot of merits, but there comes a point where it is no longer useful, it's no longer valid. And that's because self-help is promising this future where your troubles are going to be gone, where you're not going to be the same person that you are now. And it's kind of denying who you are now, making judgments on who you are now, and thinking that in the future things are going to be better, that you're going to have this better life or whatever. And for years, I thought that was true. And that led me down a lot of wrong paths, and I'll kind of talk about that. So I first got into self-help when I was around 14 because I wanted to take soccer seriously, and I started listening to a podcast to get my mindset right and that kind of thing. And as a result of that, it taught me a lot about things about mindset and how you see the world and how you perceive yourself and how you should instill discipline into your life and that kind of thing. But I always found it very difficult to implement discipline into my own life. I found it hard to keep consistent with things. I found it hard to come up to a schedule that I'd actually follow. I felt like I was going against the stream of life. I felt like I was constantly going against the current, like having to swim and fight just for a bit of land. And the harder I tried to be better at soccer, the worse I actually got because I was overthinking it. I was putting such an importance on it that my nervous system didn't feel safe doing it. It felt like I was not in a safe space. I had to, you know, do all this extra effort, do all this extra calculations in my head and constantly overthinking things to just do something right. And when I think back to the moments when I played best, it was when I didn't care as much and I was just laid back and I was just playing for the sake of it and I was just letting that be. Like one of my favourite goals that I scored in training when I was in Wollongong and trying to take things really seriously was this really great volley that I scored that I will always remember. But I was depressed that day. Like I was walking there like, what the hell am I doing? I was listening to music. It was probably Brandon Boyd. And I was just walking there, like trudging along and I was just like, I don't know how I'm going to keep going with this. Like I was taking on too much and felt completely overwhelmed. I didn't have any friends. I didn't have any support there. And I felt completely isolated and alone and like I was fighting upstream literally and that I wasn't sure about this soccer thing anymore. Like it had been my dream for ages on and off, but I never felt like I really connected fully to one dream and I didn't feel like one identity really solidified me because I thought that when I went there, I would find other people like me. I would find people that I would connect with and that would make my life feel better and that I would, you know, the next step would be the next and then, my life would kind of be set up and it'd be great from there on. But it was the opposite, things fell apart. I became quite depressed. I was binge eating to kind of deal with that. I was expending so many calories, but I also needed that kind of relief from junk food, which I've talked about in other videos. But to come back to this topic of self-help and ascending it, what I mean by this is that it's not that you deny self-help, it's that you incorporate it and include it, but then you go to the next level. Like every time you level up in something, every time you learn a lesson, you integrate it into your life and you move forward. It doesn't become the main center point, it becomes pieces of the puzzle that kind of get put together. Wherever you are in your life, whatever stage you're at, you're always getting lessons that are needed for you. Like you're always, even though you can't see it in the moment, you can see, oh, I learned this from that, I learned that because of this. And even though it didn't feel like it worked out, I'm glad that I got the lessons that I learnt from those kind of things. Like for example, me, my broken wrist at the moment, it's really forced me to take a step back from work, take a step back from my life and really look about what I've been doing and how I've been trying to force becoming famous on YouTube for so long and then giving that up, how I've tried to force diets and regimes onto me like soccer training programs and trying to build muscle and um, doing music and all these kind of hobbies that I've been juggling, and I feel like I have to stick to one and stick to it fully and just be solidified in that identity. And with all this time to kind of sit back and think, I became quite depressed. I went right into video games. You can see in some of my other videos, I felt like my life was doomed. And I feel like in the back of my head, I was watching this Chester Bennington video, and it really made me realize how connected I felt because of music and because of those interviews talking about depression and these people that had killed themselves, which it's really sad, but then it's really enlightening to kind of listen to them and have their lessons passed on and feel seen because of them. And he said that, at times I can feel like I'm on the top of the world, I'm doing great, everything's fine, but then all of a sudden there's this another part of me in the back of my head, which I feel like I have as well, that kind of lays dormant at times, but then when it rises up, everything is seen in a negative light. All meaning and drive is just sucked from my life. It's hard to get up in the morning. It's hard to care about cooking. It's hard to care about anything. And that's why I fall off YouTube videos quite a bit, because I'll be like doing it consistently for a while, and then all of a sudden I'll just stop, and then that's because I'm getting into this cycle and I'm just like, what's the point? I don't see any point in doing these kind of things. And it just overtakes my life. And I feel like I was glad that this time that I started recording during it, because I think it's important to document that and share that, because that's an insight into my mind. I wasn't necessarily looking for help. This is a part of my mind in this kind of reality that I'm feeling, and I want to get that across. I want to show that across to people, so then they can see that, they can relate to that, like Chester Bennington for me, but then also that they can see that there's hope in that as well. Although, whether that hope's false or whatever, I think the main thing is not to hope for a better life, not to hope for anything better, and just to accept the realities that you're in now. Because, as I was saying, I've always felt like I was fighting against the current to do things. And this past week, my mental health and my mental state has gotten so much better, because I kind of allowed myself to be depressed, basically. I just lent into it. I was like, all right, I want to stay up late and play video games. I want to binge watch this show. This night I want to have a drink and have a cigar. This other night I want to, just eat whatever I feel like, basically. And so I just allowed that, and just allowed it to kind of wash over me. And I realized, like, even after doing it, I was like, that wasn't as satisfying as I thought. And that was such a blessing, because then when I realized that, I was like, oh, so now I've done this. I've done the thing that I wanted to. I feel that need in me that some people call like your lizard brain or whatever, the part of you that's kind of wanting these things that you don't want to want, but you feel yourself drawn to them because you don't feel safe, and your nervous system is just looking for something quick to give you that dopamine spike to make you feel okay, because you don't feel safe in your current environment, because for some reason maybe you're fighting against it, maybe you've had something bad happen to you, like breaking a bone is kind of a bit of trauma, but maybe you've had something more serious like a breakup or losing a person close to you, like a death. And so the past week, I haven't tried to make my life better at all, but it has got better. And I've started eating more, and then because of eating more, I feel better. But at the start, I wasn't eating good food. I was like literally just eating rice bubbles and toast. Like that was what I was eating. But since I was starting to eat more because I wasn't eating and I didn't feel hungry, I didn't want to go out or anything. And I started eating, and then I started to feel a bit better. I didn't force myself to go on walks, but I started going outside more. And, at the moment, I don't have a set structure because I'm still injured. I'm just kind of letting things be. But I find that I'm becoming more productive. Like I'm starting to want to do more music. I'm starting to want to read more, and I'm actually sticking to a schedule more. Like I was waking up at 2:30 in the afternoon and like going to sleep anywhere past midnight from around 4 a.m. Sometimes I even did all-nighters, which was crazy. And then, just these past couple of days, slowly, not like I didn't even choose to say like, oh, I'm gonna start waking up early. It's just like I could wake up at 2 tomorrow again, but I'm gonna go to bed at this time because I feel kind of tired, which was around 11:30. And this morning I ended up waking up at like 8. And sure, I like laid around in bed. I didn't feel great, but then I eventually got up because I felt naturally inclined to do it. I wasn't forcing. I was kind of going with the flow more. And the idea that I want to plant in you, the philosophy, the metaphor that I'm trying to get across is when you're trying to make a change in your life, when you're trying to do certain things in your life. I'm not saying that science isn't bad, that you shouldn't take that into consideration and think like, oh, when I eat these foods, I'm going to feel better, or when I'm going to exercise more, I'm going to feel better. It's not that you don't have to implement that. I feel like you should implement that to some extent, but it shouldn't be your God. It shouldn't be your whole basis of your life. You should be listening to your body and responding to it and acting in more of a natural way. Because the metaphor that I'm trying to get across is that when you look to nature and you plant a seed, you don't expect it to grow really fast. You know, it's gonna, whatever seed you plant, it's gonna be that seed. If it's an apple tree, it's gonna be an apple, and it's gonna take a certain amount of years to grow. And it's gonna take certain care and certain um, daily habits, like of watering it, of fertilizing it, that kind of thing, putting it into bigger pots and then putting it outside and then putting it into the ground, etc., etc. And when you think about it like that, it takes years and years, like up to like a decade, to grow these trees that are going to bear fruit for you. So if you take that into consideration with your own life, then it's like, oh, well, I've got to be much more patient with this. I've got to be much more long term. I've got to be a lot more natural. And sure, maybe the effort that you put in, your seedlings may die off, or it may start to like rot or whatever. But you've got to keep working on these things. And that's kind of this balance that I've found where you've got to be planting these seeds. Like, I don't say that I have to be better or that I have to do these things. I'm just kind of listening to my natural inclinations. Like, oh, I want to learn more about music theory. I want to learn about why these songs sound good. So I'm going to do that and then write a song, and then that's kind of fun. Then I'm going to go back to doing whatever I feel like doing. And as time goes on, I find that my inclinations kind of have settled into this natural balance where, you know, I'll like want to get into this show, so then I'll watch it, but then I'll be like, that's enough. I feel like that's enough. I shouldn't go into this, otherwise I'm going to get lost in it. So I step back, and then maybe I like go on a walk, and then it's like, go like just walk through the house basically, and then like, oh, I got to do my laundry, so then I'll do that, and then I'll see other things that need to be cleaned, and I'll do that, but I won't like force myself to do it. But I think moving on, like when I fix my wrist, when my wrist heals, I've got an appointment next week. I'm going to see, hopefully the cast is off, but I feel like it's going to be a half cast for another couple weeks. But after that, I feel inclined to do more workout stuff. And I'm going to really tone that down because I've tried to do way too much. I'm just going to keep it simple, 3 days a week. And for that, you know, you have to have a certain amount of discipline and structure in your life. And I realize that, and I'm willing to pay the price for that. And you know, the price of that is like, oh, I've got to work out at certain times and it's going to suck for a while, but I've got to keep at it and build on it and not try to overburden myself like I usually do, and keep at it at a consistent and reliable kind of pace. Anyway, on to like other topics. If you've been watching this far, I expect that you kind of have watched my videos before, or you're interested in me a bit. I don't know why I say that. I don't know why people say that in videos. Anyway, I felt more creative at night, so I felt like I should start recording when I get creative after I have a shower. Like, my thoughts are flowing, and I feel like I just got to talk and like get things out. Otherwise, I'm just like too jittery, and journaling just doesn't quite do it for me. So I've been thinking about this video for a while. I've been having so many video ideas, but I haven't been recording. But I felt like it was nice. Hopefully the light is okay and you can hear me okay with the microphone on here. But like, it's a nice night, and I hope that the light's okay and that this video has turned out good enough. I'm going to look back on it and then see what I have to do from then on. And it really sucks when you're kind of experimenting like this, because I don't know how it's going to turn out. I like did a quick check and it's like, all right, I can see myself. The audio sounds okay, so I'm just going to go with it. And then it sucks because then I don't want to redo this video, because when you get in the moment, you're like, yes, this is like the time for it. And then I'm like, oh damn, but like if it's bad, if it's not gonna work out well, then I'm kind of worried about wasting this good idea for this bad quality video. But you know, it kind of is what it is, and I'm gonna continue on ideas, and yeah. the last thought that I just had come to me that I want to say to you is that insight is for the moment. Whatever path you're on, you're going to have your own stories, your own kind of lessons come up, your own insights, and it's the perfect one for that moment, but it's not the one that's going to be the insight for your life. And that's what I've realized, is that like I have these really cool insights. I'm like, oh, I've tapped onto it. I know what the answer is at the moment. But then after a week, I'm like, I had that answer. I want to keep it going. I want to keep it going. And that's a part of like this kind of goes into this video of the natural kind of part of letting things go, letting things arise, allowing a more natural flow, and not being afraid to drop things and adopt new mindsets and have the new insight come into fruition, so to speak. So thank you for watching. I really do appreciate the people that watch this video, especially if you're watching it to the end. That's incredible. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video. Peace. Take care.